Hey everybody, it's Gary Lucas, and it's now 3 o'clock. It's the witching hour, the bewitching hour. I've got the windows open. Such a beautiful. I gotta show you this. Such a beautiful sight out there. That little luxury boat touring the Hudson. I hope you can see that. There's not a lot of stuff stirring out here, but I'll tell you, the news isn't too good about the virus infection levels back in New York City at the moment. But I'm not virtue signaling or anything here, but outside of Caroline and I, who wear masks everywhere, we really don't see a reciprocal sign of it among people in the West Village, to put it mildly, which is a little disconcerting. Oh well. Let's just play it. wandered out of frame. He wandered out of frame, and back he came with a TC electronic tuner. I got an endorsement from these guys, these Danish maniacs, but they just fired the whole kit and caboodle of all of my peeps there. So the guy running it is a little bit on the stingy side in relinquishing new gear. But anyway, what do I care? Here we go. That's a little arrangement of a piece by Leos Janáček, one of my favorite composers, a Czech composer from Moravia, and he wrote that at the turn of the century, not this last century, no, 1900, I think 1904, and then it was revised, and it's in a book called On an Overgrown Path. There are two books of piano pieces, piano solos, and this is from the second one. It's the number 10, and I played this at the Holocaust Remembrance Ceremony at the United Nations a couple of years ago for Holocaust Remembrance Day, and well, it's something that stuck in my repertoire, although I have to tell you, Janáček was not Jewish, but there's a soulful feeling emanating from this music that gave me chills the first time I heard it. So I was determined to arrange it. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those spine-tingling pieces of music, and it caught the attention, I have to say, of the General Assembly, especially when I took the repeat. I guess because halfway through, I just start over from the beginning, and I saw all these heads go up from the desks. They were busy, whatever, inscribing stuff in their pads or in the Book of Life. And then they all looked up, whoa. And that's because, my theory is they suddenly recognize the music, wow, that sounds familiar, right? Because I just played it, at least the first half of it again, so. Well, so it's Thursday. Yeah, news is kind of grim. No matter where you look. I just scanned The Guardian online, which I look at also on a daily basis. I kind of go from the Times to the Wall Street Journal to the Post a little bit, sometimes for the gossip, and always to the Guardian. And there's a whole article in there today about the Gulf Stream about to show signs of a failure, which wouldn't be very good for planet Earth. So another irrefutable sign of climate change. And I just hope it's not too late. What can I tell you? Nothing seems to wake anybody up anymore out of their torpor or slumber or the same old, but I don't think, love or money is going to be able to save anybody from the catastrophic effects of these things. So I hope we can all pull together as a species, of the Homo sapiens, or let's hope the sapient part of that term comes to the fore. But anyway, so I've been enjoying playing solo acoustic again. I had a collapse of my microphone. My mic stand actually in the other setup for electric guitar, which has necessitated my good buddy Scott Redstone to take it down on his peregrinations around town to his machine shop in Chinatown, where there's a whole garage full of choppers, and you meet all sorts of interesting folks down there. And they all have little workbenches, and he is so handy. He can really fix stuff like you wouldn't believe, so he's working on it. But anyway, it gives me a good excuse to play for you guys, solo acoustic. And let's see, what else can I tell you? But, some gigs came in. They're starting to come in. I don't know, when it rains and pours, it's never been a consistent thing, despite my best efforts. And honestly, I hate cold calling or pinging anybody beyond maybe once. There's a demeaning quality to it that is not for me. But be that as it may, Joe's Pub, one of my favorite. I'm one of their original artists that performed there when that august space in the public theater first opened up. They've offered me a date, and it turned out to be Chinese New Year's Eve, official beginning of Year of the Tiger. So what better project to fill that space with than my Edge of Heaven project? That would be my salute to both 30s and 40s Chinese pop, a very lovely but not very well known, certainly not in the West, manifestation of this period of time when Shanghai was a free port and China's window on the West. It was pretty much anything goes there, including the opium trade, numerous brothels, and a lot of money sloshing around, and gangsters from all sorts of places. Particularly, I've read a lot of books about this period. You'd be surprised how many British gangsters were holed up there during this period. Australians, and of course Americans, French. They had legations for 4 different communities there. Anyway, they're in this cauldron, or this beaker. A chemical reaction occurred musically, whereby a fusion of Chinese musical elements, certainly the scales, and the language these songs are sung in is Chinese, but also they mingled with very combustible elements of jazz of the period and swing music, Tin Pan Alley stylings, Broadway show tunes, and the like. And actually there was an infusion of many klezmer musicians from Europe who found haven, because you could get in and out of Shanghai without a passport in those days. Try that now, no go. And so out of this emerged this beautiful hybrid music, of which I've devoted a couple of years of my life, at least. I've been playing it very, very regularly since I think I first started to arrange this music in the late 90s. And that was at the behest of a dear friend of mine, Ken Hurwitz, who was marrying his childhood sweetheart, Mi-Ling Cui. And they knew that I was a fan of this music. I actually turned Beefheart onto it. We used to have it play over the PA when we did shows for a while. He fell in love with it. It's really something. If you get a chance, listen to some of the original recordings by the so-called 7 great singing stars of Shanghai. My favorite being Zhou Xuan, who was known as the golden voice of China. But also really good is Bai Guang, who was known as White Light. And the Yao Li. In fact, I mentioned Seymour Stein is a good exponent, Mr. Sire Records. One of the godfathers, I should say, of punk rock here in New York. And Seymour sang Yao Li's song, Rose, Rose, I Love You. He knew all the lyrics in Chinese, in Mandarin to me in his office once. Anyway, I'm going to be doing The Edge of Heaven with a great singer I've been working with for several years, Feifei Yang. She couldn't join me, unfortunately, at my 40th anniversary show. The Chinese pop aspect of my 40 years devoted to playing music will sadly be underrepresented at that show. I might do a couple of solo versions of these pieces. But she'll be there at Joe's Pub on February 1st, as will Jason Candler, who's making a really great recovery from a series of strokes that he suffered. And, we'll see. Maybe he'll be playing sax at the show, but if not, he's working out being able to play his saxophone lines with a keyboard on stage, which is pretty cool. And what a trooper, I gotta say. He's got the best spirit in terms of his rehabilitation and recuperation from this devastating tragedy, which would fell most people totally. And let's see, another gig came into, I won't talk about that so much, but at the moment. Oh yeah, my old friend Vivian Goldman, fantastic UK writer, television presenter, close personal friend of Bob Marley, biographer of Bob Marley and the reggae scene, and the she-punk movements, and an adjunct professor of punkology at NYU. Vivian Goldman is coming to town for a stand at the end of August in a club in Williamsburg called IRL. And I'll post a poster from it after the show and the date. I think it's August 22nd. I got to check it. I think it's a Sunday night, 2 shows. A kiddie matinee and a regular show for adults. And I'm going to sit in with her at the show for adults, which I think starts at 7. Again, I'll check and get back to you. And joining her on stage will be Youth from Killing Joke, the great bassist, and Dunya and Anya. I have to check the names. Sorry, Vivian. I don't have them in front of me, but they were part of our tribute to Ari Up of the Slits after she passed. We had this really great gig at the Music Hall of Williamsburg. So I'll be there to offer my guitar services. And also, not last but not least, next Wednesday is the official release of Le Beast Concrète, which is a new electronic project I've developed with a fantastic producer, DJ, beats and samples whiz named Cisco, David Cisco. I've worked with a bit. And finally, we joined forces seriously. So here's a mock-up of the cover, sort of a motley mock-up, and it's backwards. But the name of the album is Gargoyle. Here's the back. But this was just stitched together to send to WFMU, who told me they find it hard to play digital-only releases, but if I would be so kind as to send them a CDR. So I tried. I did my best to make a cover. It was a long, tedious process getting 2 of them made for them, but they should have it on Monday. So if you're fans of that station, and who would not be? I mean, they have people tuning in from all over the globe all the time. Hopefully they'll begin playing it sooner than later. I think Howard Thompson on his great show on WPKN is scheduled to spin something from it soon. But you'll be able to access it on Wednesday digitally, stream it, download it, slice and dice it, bake with it. I really am very happy with the way it turned out, and I'm a jaded old guy. So, to me, it's like a very fresh context for my guitar. It sounds very futuristic, and I don't know, to me, I can't really put it's hard to describe what it is. It's a what's it. Yeah, and like the thing, a what's it. So check it out, Gargoyle, Le Bus Concrete. And I don't know if you really twist my arm, I might. You'd have to send a lot of money. I might burn you one of these things too, but I think we're going to have a deluxe edition out one of these days, but probably, down the line for this album. But for now, it's just a digital only release. And isn't that what you're supposed to be doing out there in the music biz? Just feeding the monster digitally, or I don't know, or the appetite of the audience. Something like that. But so the sun is coming out. Let's take a look. There's Old Glory playing over Steve Cohen's. Whoops. Let's say a billionaire's new manse going up over there. This guy owns a sports club in town. I believe he was a big Trump supporter too. But don't necessarily hold that against him. Sad news about Charlie Watts. He bowed out of the upcoming Rolling Stones tour. He's 80. He just had some medical issues, and anyway, check out Mike Edison's book on Charlie's drumming evolution. It's quite good, and I'm not a drummer, but I enjoyed it. A good take on an aspect of the Stones that really hasn't gotten written about very much, and so. thank a couple of people here. Diana Lindart, my digital assistant in Brazil, who is coming to town. I get a chance to meet her in person. At the end of the month, I think early September, just in time for my 40th anniversary show at Le Poisson Rouge on Bleecker Street. What is that number, 185? I gotta check. But I'm very excited about that. I'm regrouping Gods and Monsters for the night with my classic lineup of Billy Ficca from television on drums, Ernie Brooks from The Modern Lovers on bass, Jerry Harrison from Talking Heads on keyboards, and Jason Candler on probably one-handed keyboard, saxophone lines, and tambourine shaking for the night. But what troopers. And I will be joined by Thurston Moore, incredible force behind Sonic Youth on guitar, and Felice Rosser, the singer and bass player of a great Black Rock Coalition band, Faith, who was my old pal. Richard Barone will be there, who was a stellar standout in the lineup of Gods and Monsters post Jeff Buckley, as well as Emily Duff, who's coming on really strong with her new album right now. And Emily was also longtime singer post Jeff. And just added to the lineup, the fabulous Trixie Whitley from, solo renown, Daniel Lanois, Associated fame, a great singer-songwriter who happens to be the daughter of the late Chris Whitley, who I loved, though I never did meet him. Jeff was a big fan of Chris's. And so you have to be there if you're in town. It's September 11th, Le Poisson Rouge at 8 o'clock. I can post some more stuff about this till the cows come home. Thanks to AAA for all those great graphics he's done for me. And Dave Pearson is working hard right now. He did Dunny Ratboy, which was our second single from Le Beast Concrete. He's got a new one for a song called Once Upon a Time. I also want to give a shout out to Nadja and Anai Rubalcava, these two fantastic animators in Mexico City, twin sisters who are good friends, who did a great clip for the song Follow. And I think it could be, I got to check in with her, but that Nadja is working on also her own version. Could it be of Once Upon a Time? I don't know, but she'll be hopefully like producing some fabulous new clip, animated or otherwise. And I think that about wraps it up. I really enjoyed playing for you solo acoustic as always. I'm very excited too about a new project I'm gonna go down and record this Sunday out of town, which I'll keep more or less under wraps until it's ready to be discussed further. And that's about it. Okay, so big hug and a big kiss. Take care of yourselves. Wear that mask wherever you're going. Just be courteous to other people, because everything says, unvaccinated people or vaccinated people can shed this virus in your general direction. And you wouldn't know it. They wouldn't know that they were carrying it either. But it's that insidious. I mean, the Delta variant. And it's just, be nice to us all week should be instituted across the board all the time, 365 days a year. Love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye now. That's the end.